It's been a summer of heroes. Mo and Hussein have won our hearts. But let's not forget the man who from a standing start taught sport to look beyond the colour of skin, who through his ability to win became a hero to all. Took an axe to that tree of bigotry that it might one day fall, never to rise again. The man was Jesse Owens. In 1936, when a swastika flew on a flag of red, and soon millions would be dead in battle. And in the German sky, the rattle of Sieg Heil echoed across Berlin. When it seemed like sin and violence would engulf the world, our hero was hurled into the spotlight. And he did not turn from the fight. James Cleveland Owens. Jesse was his nickname, and his accent was to blame. One day in class, when asked his name, he answered, "Jesse," in a southern drawl. So Jesse was the call, as from school to university, in age where there was no diversity, this African American stormed to victory in race after race. So that, despite the color of his face, despite the fact that he could not sit on a bus next to a white man because the pigment of his tan was somehow judged not the same, his country sent him to the game of games to compete against Hitler's hand-picked athletes, to show that master race the meaning of defeat. 4 golds. And no insult to Chris Hoy or his like. There's no man faster on a bike, but Jesse took his in 4 separate events. He showed the world what Olympian meant. The 100, the 200, the relay, the long jump, and Hitler. Well, he got the hump so much he wouldn't even shake Jesse's hand. This man who left his boys standing in the sand, wondering how what they had been told could be true, that a man can be judged by the hue of his colouring. Yes, he had the whole world murmuring Jesse as he crossed that line, time after time after time after time. But this is real life. So often after victory there is strife. Today's hero is forgotten tomorrow. And Jesse, he had his share of sorrow. He had to ride the freight elevator to his victory dinner. And when he looked for sponsors, he was judged a sinner for trying to make money out of his fame. Told, "How dare you trade on the glamour of your name?" A name hard won with the sweat of his brow. Can anybody tell me how it is that for 40 years a man like this, through blood, sweat and tears, has to run at racetracks against horses? Do dry cleaning when the blood of victors courses through his veins, pump gas when once his name echoed in that Berlin air. But thankfully, his story does not stop there. Call it shame, call it fate, call it karma, I call it late. The president came to Jesse and asked if he would take up the task to speak out for sport, to take everything he had learnt and thought of how sport can rise above politics and hate, of how it can be a gate to a better world when men look into each other's eyes, seeking the best and not despise, of how it can tear down the fence that separates one from another so that they can compete for victory as equals and brothers. So Jesse, here's to you, one of a kind. You gave it your all. You changed the world's mind.